So, thank you for the nice introduction. It's nearly my presentation. So, is anybody here who visited the European Championships in 2022? No one? Okay. Is anyone here who has been at the Olympic Park in Munich? Okay, some people. So, let's start. I'll give you some figures of the Olympic Park that you get an impression. So here you can see the area we are responsible for. It's around about 850,000 square meters. And we have 9 venues in the Olympic Park. And I think that everybody knows that the Olympic Park was built for the 20th Olympic Summer Games in 1972. So we celebrated our 50th anniversary in 2022. And I think we can be proud that the Olympic Park is one of the most or best after Olympic Games used park. It's still really in use from the first day on. So what are we doing? Our concept is created on 3 pillars. We rent the venues for events. We also do organize events by ourselves, but we also running a tourism and leisure facilities. And at the end, it's also a place for relaxation. Our company is 100% owned by the city of Munich. We employ around about 150 persons. And in 2022, we had an operating result around about 4.1 million euros. Some figures about the Olympic Park. Normally, we have around about 4 million visitors a year. So it's divided into visitors who are visiting an event. In 2023, we had 2.9 million visitors by events and 1.6 million visitors who attended our tourism facilities. And we had around about 600 days of events. So you can imagine and every day in the Olympic Park, nearly you can attend an event. Since 1972, more than 230 million people visited the Olympic Park. So, but now let's come to sustainability. So I'm very pleased to see some people sitting here in this location, because the fair is referring to technical equipment for events, for sound equipment, light equipment, and now I'm talking about sustainability. And what I'm talking about was really only a little bit to do with technique. It has more to do with people, with the ideas of people and how people made their ideas coming alive. But sustainability is not only for event really important for us. It's more or less in our DNA. So we have really mission in the Olympic Park. And one of this is also sustainability. We have been given goals of sustainability by the City Council. So we have to be climate neutral until 2020 and 30. So that's really, it's not easy to reach this goal. Then we have a social sustainability goal that we have to engage women in management positions in a share of around about 45%. What have we done so far? So we are in sustainable use since 1972. We have created a concept for climate neutrality by the end of 2023. We use green electricity since 2016. All event organizers are obliged to integrate in their ticket the public transport. So when you come to an event in the Olympic Park, you can use the public transport around about 50 kilometers around about Munich. So that's really good. Then we have waste avoidance since 2003, so no single-use cups or plates are allowed. And as I told you, sustainability is an essential part of our company values. So we are certified by EcoProfit, it's a local certification, and we committed to the goals to verpflichtet, that's also a voluntary commitment. But now we came to the main part of my presentation, the European Championships. So, and we start with a film. I hope it will work, so that you can get an impression what the European Championships have been. Now, so I hope you can hear the sound. Now.
This could be anyone's race, and it is close.
And he's literally just going to go blasting past. And he is on fire, excited. That is truly incredible.
He's going to give it absolutely everything in the closing stages. He's going to take the gold medal for Germany.
Oh my word, look and come back.
She takes the victory and crosses the line, carrying the flag for her nation.
What an incredible championships.
So, thank you. So, I've seen the film, I think, 10, 20 times, but I'm still getting goosebumps because it were really brilliant 10 days in Munich when we had this event. So 1.47 million visitors. The Olympic Park was nearly overcrowded. You can see here the opening ceremony. We had about 50,000 people here. And the whole major sporting event was accompanied by our tent sport. We called it the tent sport. It was a festival called the Roofs Festival. It was for free. So you can see at the opening ceremony, there were a lot of people, thousands of people in front of the stage and thousands of people on our Olympic mountain. So this was really a big, great atmosphere there. Some figures only. 11 days of sports and cultures, 370,000 tickets sold, nearly 30,000 accreditations, more than 6,000 volunteers, and at the end, 1,600 people who worked by planning, organizing, and running the event in the last days. more than 700 hours of live streaming, 400 million live hours of watched in 8 most important TV markets in the EU, more than 6.7 million viewers, and also an advertising value for the city of Munich around about 480 million euro, and an economic value for Munich from 120 million euros. So don't get bothered. I'll stop with counting all the figures. So, but I think to get an impression how big the event was and what the impacts were, you have to know some figures about it. So now we came to the main topic, to sustainability. So I told you that we have nearly used the Olympic Park since 72. So it's really used very sustainable. But for the European Championships, there was no existing concept for sustainability. So more or less we and the LFC, we invented a strategy and developed a concept for sustainability, because for us it was a major point. It was very crucial to show that it is possible to host a major sporting event with as less as possible impact on the environment. Though it was a real challenge, because in the end, you know that sometimes if you make things more sustainable, the costs are rising. And we had a covered budget. It was public, more or less, by the public funders, by the city of Munich, by the state of Bavaria, and by the government of Germany. But at the end, I think we reached the goals. You can read all the details in our sustainability report, which is online, but I will give you an impression what we have really done. And at the end, we won the award for sustainability in the category venue and event, and we have been nominated for the German Sustainability Award in the category of sport. So how we started. So, you know, I think everyone here in the audience knows the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So, and we said it's important to concentrate on some points. So we picked 6 points out of it, and it was important for us that we picked out ecological goals, economical goals, and social goals. So 3 ecological goals was the reuse of the sports facilities and sports equipment, then transportation and mobility, waste and littering. Then the social goals was the impact on grassroots and professional sport, inclusion and accessibility, and the economical was the local value creation. I see now that on the slide the colors are mixed, but I think you know that local value creation is an economical goal and not a social one. So, so we start with the sustainable strategy, ecological. So I told you that we used nearly only existing venues. So in the Olympic Park, the venues are more than 50 years old now, but we showed that it's possible to host an international sporting event in 50-year-old buildings. Yes, we have put money in to renovate the buildings, that's right, but they are still the old venues from 72. We tried to reuse the materials and all the sport equipment after the European Championship. So we donated it to sports clubs, to schools, and also we sold it. We really made detailed KPIs. So and in our report you can look it up, so you can see if we really achieved our goals. So totally green bar is fully achieved. And in this sector, we achieved all the goals. I think we fully achieved the goals to use as many existing sport facilities as possible, to reuse the material, and long-term continued use of sports equipment. The second one was transportation, because we concentrate on transportation, because around about 65% of greenhouse gases came from transportation. But we couldn't influence the athletes or all the audience who come from other countries in Europe, but we could influence the transportation on our side in our city. So I told you that you could use the ticket for the public transport. We also made the people aware of using the bicycles or to come by foot. And we used with our partner, who was BMW, they supported us with a 100% electric vehicle fleet. So we had the transportation from the VIPs and from the athletes were based on e-mobility, and I think the great part of the fans also used the public transportations. And at the end, there was an offsetting of the rest, so we could say that we had really a climate neutral project. But I would like to limit it on the transportation. I'm not would say that it was really 100% climate neutral. So I think it's always important to be honest. Don't do any greenwashing, because it doesn't help anyone. But we can be really proud of that. We can say that the transportation system we could influence was really climate neutral. So you can see we saw that it was fully achieved, but at the end the offsetting event-related travel, we thought it was largely achieved, but not fully achieved. Waste and littering. So the first step is always to avoid as much waste as possible. Then you separate it, and then you can reuse it. Yeah. So we tried to have the minimum possible total waste. Though we have these KPIs, we made a certain amount of waste in grams per visitor. We want to have a really high rate of reuse and recycling, and a very good separation by the materials. For us, it was always important to raise the awareness for these topics, and I think we reached this goal 100%. And one of our measurements was an introduction of a deposit system and an installation of water dispensers. With the water dispensers, so we could save 500,000 bottles of PET. So it's a high amount. So if you can avoid 500,000 bottles, it's great. But this was a big discussion with our caterer, because it's great because the water was for free, and he didn't sold 500,000 bottles. But you have to decide what is more important for you, the profit or really the sustainability. So, and we didn't reach the goals here to 100% because littering was really a problem, but separation of waste was good, and also we had a really high reuse and recycling rate. But then one of the social goals, we wanted to motivate the people to do sport, to be active in sport, to get a member of a sports club. And so we work together with the local sports clubs, also with the associations. We want to inspire visitors to take up sport activities. We promote memberships of local and regional sport clubs, and we involve the regional and national sports federations. And we had a very great project. It was called the Class of 22. We had 22 top athletes out of the athletes who were performing during the European Championships. And you could follow them during the 2 years before the event on social media. And they really motivated a lot of fans to do sports by themselves. And we also had the future class of 22, where we involved children and young people. And at the end, we involved more than 80,000 children in Bavaria in sports activities. I think that's really a good figure. So we think that more or less we have fully achieved our goals, and they are all measurable, the KPIs. So then accessibility was one of the next important things for social sustainability. And this was really a challenge because when the Olympic Park was built, barrier-free access was no issue in these times, in the 70s. So sometimes it's really not so easy to make a venue barrier-free. And we are also under protection, so we are listed as a landmark. So you really can't make the venues 100% barrier-free. It's impossible. But at the end, I think we reached a lot for the people, and not only for the wheelchair drivers. We also did lots of accessibility for people with other disabilities. We raised the awareness about inclusion and accessibility. We had lots of inclusive services, and we also hired volunteers which had disabilities. So they really knew what people expected on our space, and they could help them really. I think at the end we fully achieved or largely achieved our goals. It wasn't possible, as I told you, to make 100% of the sport facilities barrier-free, but it was a good project. And one thing was also we integrated 2 para sports into the program. So it was canoeing and rowing. It was para canoeing and para rowing. So although the athletes we had some disabilities, and this was very impressive, and we tried to integrate more sports, more para sports, but this was not possible because the associations didn't want to have para sports and in inverted commas, the normal sports together. Sorry? So that was... Then the local value creation, I told you, was to involve as many companies, local companies as possible, from all branches, from art, from caterers. And I think it was because we had this Roofs Festival, so we involved lots of people from locals, and to support regional art culture, to support the hotels, the local hotels, and the caterers. And at the end, I told you the figures at the beginning. I think it was a real value creation for the city.
Oh.
I think that the economical goals have been achieved 100%. For me, now we come to the most important thing, because we did support the sustainable goals with our so-called Count and Last project. We started it 1 year before the beginning of the European Championships, and the goal was to make everyone possible to be part of the European Championships. Not only the people who are the fans of sports, the athletes, the teams. So everyone should be part of the European Championships, and everyone should contribute something to our values, to our sustainable values, in the ecological, social and economic values, I told you. So we installed 12 totally different projects. They were really based on community, on team spirit, and of the idea of a meaningful future. And I think that the Count and Last initiative underlines really the social commitment and the sustainable impact of this major sporting event. So that's what I told you at the beginning. It didn't have much to do with technique. It had much to do with the spirit of the people who organized this event. So, and we want even demonstrate that European Champions are more than a major sporting event, and creating participation, commitment for all, bringing the values of Munich 2022 to life, producing unexpected and extraordinary moments, and underlying the future visibility of major sporting events. So now we have the second video. So this is a statement of our sports mayor during one of our projects.
Als Sportbürgermeisterin freue ich mich natürlich über alle Veranstaltungen, wo wir Menschen aus unserer Stadt zum Sport bringen. Und ich habe mich sehr gefreut, dass wir hier ein Event geschaffen haben im Rahmen des European Championship, wo gerade auch ukrainische Familien und Kindern angesprochen werden, weil wir es schön fänden, wenn sie auch in den Vereinen aufgenommen werden können und dort ein bisschen Heimat finden. Ich finde es schön, wenn sich die Vereine hier präsentieren können, wenn sie zeigen können, welche Sportarten es gibt. Wir freuen uns ganz besonders, dass wir hier auch ein Willkommenszeichen für unsere Flüchtlinge setzen können.
So this is one of 12 projects that should make a difference. I think they all made a difference. Each month we had one project, and this was the project in April. So perhaps you remember in February 2022 there was the Russian attack of the Ukraine, and we said spontaneously that we would like to organize a sport festival for Ukrainian refugees, especially for the children, and this was the video I showed you. So we had a lot of partners in our project, and the first one was to collect as many Lego bricks as possible. And the goal was to collect 22,000 Lego bricks. At the end, we collected 24,000 Lego bricks. But what have we done with the Lego bricks? We had one day in front of the Olympic Hall where everyone could come to build with us ramps. You can see it on the, is it the right hand side? Yes, also the right, on the right picture. These are ramps you can use to reduce ramps for wheelchair drivers, and we used it really. We used the ramps during the European Championship. They are not really very long-lasting, but the goal was to raise the awareness. And if someone saw this very colorful ramp, everyone said, okay, there is really a barrier for someone who has a wheelchair. And also the building of the barriers of the ramps was a very nice event because people from young to old came there to build it. Then this was one of my favorite projects. We always make it popular on social media, so everyone could be part of it. You had to download an app. It is, I think someone of you know the app. It's Strava app, so you can count your kilometers. And the motto was, the slogan was, make your activities count. So everyone could then upload the kilometers he, she swim, run, walked. And at the end there was a special formula where we calculated, where we transformed this running and walking and swimming kilometers into trees. At the end we planted 1,000. The goal was to plant 1,000 trees. At the end we planted 1,500 trees near Munich in the local forest, also with our partner, with Climate Partner, and also with some of the athletes. The next one was also a very nice project. We tried to do the longest table tennis ball exchange, the digital. So everyone could make a video when you're playing table tennis and send it to us. And Tippa, our partner, it's someone who sells table tennis plates, who is was our partner, told for every shot €2. So at the end we could donate I think 10,000 euros to a project in Uganda, which was initiated by one of our German table tennis player, Sabine Winter, and her father, because there are lots of people who cannot do any sport, and table tennis is something everyone has the possibility to do it. And also a very nice idea to integrate one of our sports and to be very donated to others. Then we packed Christmas gifts with sports equipment. So over social media, we asked people to bring to us basketball, volleyball, jumping ropes, everything they had at home and did not use. And then we packed Christmas gifts for people in kindergarten, in Waisenhäuser, for orphans and everywhere. Then one project was mental health, because you matter. We did it with some schools, and at the end 500 pupils were involved, and the slogan was, you matter, you are right, I am right, everyone is right, because you know that mental health was really a big issue during the Corona period, and we prepared more or less the whole project during the Corona period. Then we had one for creativity, and it was supported by one of our Kunstlabor in Munich. It has had something to do with art and team spirit, and lots of people took part in this project. Then we had the future class of 22. I told you that at the end we had one day in the park during the European Championships where they can compete with each other, and they could compete at the original venues. For example, beach volleyball, they played after the top athletes played their finals. They played their finals on the same place. So I think it was very, very inspiring for the pupils to see that they can also play on the same courts like the top athletes. Then we have this move for solidarity. You saw the film. Then that's like a little bit the same like we had for the trees, to plant the trees. Though you could collect kilometers by bike, and you could show it up in an app. So when you had, I think, 100 kilometers, you had one wheel on the end, and so we built bikes together by 1,000 kilometers. There was one bike, and we sent it to projects in Africa. I think you know that a bike is a very important means of transport, because they are often the children have kilometers to go by school. Though this was also a very nice project. And at the end, we had also a biodiversity project. We planted flowers, and although the flower ceremony was very special during the Olympic championships. Normally, you get a bunch of flowers, and you ask what are the athletes doing with the bunch of flowers? Do they take it on their hotel room? Do they bring it at home? I think no, but at the end, it's waste. Even it's natural waste. So we did a difference. So we presented them a little pot of flowers with earth, so with a small plant in it, and they could plant it in our Champions Garden, and it still exists in the Olympic Park. Though they don't have to do it by themselves, the athletes, they could give it to us. We planted it for them, and this was so nice because people, when they were going around this Champions Garden, they asked, okay, I saw it on the TV that you gave them this plant, and these were local plants, not roses or some other plants, really a local plant, and they are still growing in the Olympic Park. Then we did a cleanup, Ramadama we say in Bayern, so everyone was involved who wanted to make all the venues cleaner. At the end, we collected over 200 big garbage bags. Also in a clean city like Munich, you can find garbage everywhere. And during the European Championship, it was possible to get a sports badge. So you did competition in every of the 9 sports, which were we hosted, so it was really motivating for the children to do this, and at the end they got a badge. So we had 4,000 people who did all the competitions and completed the competitions and got one of our sports badges. So that was all. I think it was a lot, and I hope outside the sun is shining, so I hope I could bring a little sunshine into your hearts. And what our lessons learned is that you have to be very open with ideas, that you don't have to make so many concepts, that you have to just do it, just try to do it, just try to change little things. At the end, it will make a difference. And I hope that the European Championship could be a role model for other sporting events. I think that's what's the goal we wanted to reach, and I think we reach it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Marion. Are there any questions in the audience? Raise your hand and we'll integrate them. If not, I already start. Let's dive a little bit into the nitty-gritty details. 2 things I found really interesting is, because you said, of course, transport, largest footprint ever, people flying in from overseas, hard to come here by train from Great Britain or something like that, for example. You mentioned that, it's obligatory to include the public transport into the ticketing. Yes. The biggest challenge probably is then to nudge people into actually using it.
Yes.
So how do you go that step further of not only opening up the possibility, but incentivizing people to actually make use of it?
A good question, but at the end we are sure that most of the people used it in Munich and round about Munich. And there was also the possibility to contribute a small amount, only I think €2 for the offsetting of the carbon footprint. 10,000 people paid something, so it was voluntary, but they paid.
But to offset what?
To offset the carbon footprint. So which we believe, I think I'm not quite sure, I have not the figures in my mind at the moment, but the offsetting of the carbon footprint as a compensation of the carbon footprint. But you're right, it's not. It was easy to motivate the people, the locals, because we had to rent. I think everyone who is in the event business knows that you have to have a lot of parking lots when you have an event. So the parking lots were covered by the TV compounders. So we had to rent parking lots outside. And I think after the third day, we got a call from the operator of the parking lot, and he said, "Oh, why I'm standing here? Nobody is coming. Everybody comes by bike or comes by public transport or by foot."
Well, that's a good sign.
Yes.
And you mentioned one interesting thing. Often the caterer is a big problem because sometimes they have contracts running for 5 years or something, and even changing a simple thing like a plastic straw is a big problem because they didn't account for it in the contract.
Yes, yes.
So are there some things where you just legally were bound by your caterer, like those are tough negotiations?
So this have been negotiations, but I think it was good that we did it because now it's accepted. So because we will host a fan zone for the Football European Championship, and that's the same. We will install water dispensers, and though they have less profit. Also, we have less profits because we get a percentage of the sales revenues of the caterer. But I think it's very important. Even it's in the summertime, so the temperatures are rising. So you are also responsible as an event organizer that all people have enough to drink.
Touchy topic. Do you have like a vegan quota for your caterer?
What?
Do you have like a vegan quota for your caterer that you say by default it has to be vegan? If people want to choose meat, they can do so, but it's like the second option that's not advertised?
No, we don't have it, but it's a good idea. Yes. So we will have a tender in the next 2
touchy topic
years.
in Bavaria, I assume,
Yes.
because everybody comes for the meat. But yeah. All right. More questions in the audience? Raise your hand. If not, thanks a lot, Marion, for joining us today.
Thank you.